Welcome to 3CI Training Videos. My name is Ron Shaw and I'm going to be your video instructor for this little short video on configuring an IPSEC Site-to-Site VPN tunnel using a pre-shared key. Now, before we get started, we must understand a little bit about IPSEC security. As we're going through here, there's going to be 5 steps that we're going to have to use in order to configure a site-to-site VPN tunnel. First of all, here are the 5 steps. First, we're going to have to define what parameters will be used for the ICA Phase 1 tunnel. This tunnel is also known as the ISA KMP tunnel. The second step will be define what parameters will be used for the ICA Phase 2 tunnel. Again, this is the IPSEC tunnel. Then we're going to create an access list to identify an interesting traffic. We'll create a crypto map and apply it to the appropriate interface, and optionally, which we will not be doing today, is create an ACL to block non-interesting traffic. Now, it's important that you understand that both Phase 1 and Phase 2 policies must match or have matching policies on each of the routers in order for it to be able to establish a tunnel between the two peers. Now, let's take a look at our topology and see how we're going to be configuring it. As you can see here, our topology has 2 routers, router A and router B. They are connected by a serial link back to back on the 172.16.1.0 network with a 24 mask. Router A has the 192.168.1.0 Ethernet network, and then the router B has the 10.0.1.0. Now, our goal will be to secure traffic between the 192 network and the 10 network over this simulated untrusted network or the WAN cloud. Now, as traffic passes from the 192 through the router, it will get tunneled through the internet to router B and then back over into the 10 network, and that way we can secure this traffic. Now, the test will be if we can successfully ping the 192.1.168.1.2 PC to the 10.0.1.2 PC, and then after we do the ping, we should see an establishment of a secure tunnel. So, let's get started. First one we're going to do is we're going to start with router A, or router 1, and in here we're going to configure our necessary parameters. First thing we're going to do is create our Phase 1 policy. Now, to conduct that, we're going to have to be in the configuration mode, and we're going to issue the command crypto ISA KMP, and then we'll give it a policy, and then we'll give it a number. We'll just say policy 1. Now, as you can see, we are in a sub-configuration mode. Now, since we are using pre-shared authentication, we're going to tell it and define that type of authentication. So we'll say pre-keyword authentication and then share. From here, we must define our hash. Now, our hash will have 2 different types. I can either say MD5 or SHA. However, whichever one we use here, we must use the same one on router B. So we're going to use SHA as our hash. Now, next thing we've got to define is our encryption of our traffic. Now, as you can see here, we have 3 different methods that we can use. I can use DAS, triple DAS, or ASE. And then once we define ASE, we're going to have to define a key size. So, we're going to use ASE 100, as you can see here, we'll have different options, key sizes. So we're going to use 128 bits. The next thing we need to do is define our Diffie-Hellman group. And here we're going to define several different options. We have 1, 2, and 5. These are just how we're going to exchange our keys. So we're going to define Diffie-Hellman group 2. Now, by the way, these are kind of like middle range settings. If I went with lower settings like a DAS and then a Diffie-Hellman 1, we're just talking about a little less secure, strength in our security. So now we're going to define the lifetime of our key. In here we're going to define 86,400 seconds. Now, let's go ahead and type exit. From here we're going to set there, and now we got to define our key. So I'm going to do crypto ISA key. Now this is going to be our per share key, so we want to make a good strong key, but for demonstration purposes I'll just say Cisco, and then I'm going to define my peer who I'm going to be communicating with. If you remember, here is router A, the peer is going to be router B interface here, so 172.168.1.2 will be my peer address. So we'll go in here, 172.16.1.2 in there. Now we'll type end. Now that gets our phase 1. The next thing will be is going to be create our transform set. Now this is going to be how we're going to establish our IPSEC tunnel. So in here we'll go again. I'm going to go into configuration mode, and I'm going to define crypto again, keyword crypto, and as you can see we're going to do IPSEC, and I'm going to do transform set. Now we got to give it a name, and I'm going to say my set. Now by the way, these are case sensitive. In here we got selected options here of different levels of security. As you can see, I got various types of security. Now I can define up to 3 different crypto transform sets. But in here we're going to do ESP, AES, and ESP.SHA. So we've got 2 in here. Now I'll type exit. Now the next thing I have to do, that completes our phase 1. Now the next step I have, phase 2. The next thing I have to do is define an access list. So I'm going to use a extended access list, and I'm going to use access list 101, and we're going to tell it to define. We're going to say permit. Now this is going to say, hey, what interesting traffic is going to be encrypted. So we're going to give all the IP. Now in here I'm going to define a network. So from here I'm going to say the 10 From here I'm going to define the source and destination. Well, the source is going to be the 192 network. So we'll go 192.168.1.0, and then we'll do a wildcard mask of 255. Now we'll say destination traffic is going to be to 10.0.1.0 with a 0.0.255. Let's see, we've got them in there. And then we'll hit enter. We got a little mistake here. Where does it say my access list? I spelled access list wrong. Not a problem. We're going to need an extra S in there. So we'll define that. Now, I've got to sit there and create again a crypto map. Now this map's going to tie everything together. It's going to set who our peer is. It's going to tell it what address access list to match, and then we're going to tell it what transform set to use. So the first thing we're going to do is in here I'm going to say crypto, and then I'm going to say map, and now I'm going to let this go like this. I'm going to define my direction, router underscore A to router underscore B. So this way I know what direction my map is going. I'm going to give it a policy number of 10, and then I'll define it with IPSEC -ISAKMP. Now, this new crypto map now will be disabled until a peer and a valid access list has been configured. So it's telling me I got to set a peer. So I'll set my peer, which will be my distant end, which is going to be router B's IP address 172.1. Then I have to tell it match an access list, and this is going to be the access list that we just created. See, these two numbers here will match. Now I'll have to tell it to set it which transform set that I want to use. So remember our name up here, my set. So again, this is case sensitive. We'll type in. Now the last part of this will be here in a second. We're going to apply it to an interface. So the next part again, we'll go to our serial interface, config T. We'll go INTS1/0. Our serial. That backwards. Now, from here, now remember that name we used in our crypto map? Well, that's the name we're going to have to use right here. So what I'll do is I can just do a little quick copy and paste here so I get it right. So I'll say crypto map, and then I'll just paste it in here. I'm kind of lazy sometimes. I don't type everything out. So there. Now we got the first router done. Next thing it is, we need to go back to the other router and configure it. You also notice that the ISA KMP was enabled. So Control Z, let's do a show run real quick to verify our settings for this router. Now as we go through here, you can see our policy. Our encryption is AES, authentication per key with a group 2. Now, our transform sets, our map, and then of course it's going to be applied to the interface right here. So I'll just write this. Now, let's go over to router B, and what we're going to do is configure it. So, go ahead and get in the enable mode. We'll set here, and again we're going to configure our phase 1 policy. So it'll be crypto ISA KMP policy 1. Remember, we're going to try and keep mirrored or exact settings on both sides. So now we're going to go authentication. Remember, pre-share. Next thing we're going to do, again, define our hash. Remember, we use the SHA hash. Next thing we're going to do is the encryption. And our encryption was set to AES 128. Next part of here, we're going to define our Diffie-Hellman, which we use group 2. Remember, we want to make sure we use our defining policies. Our lifetime, we want to set it again to match the same thing that we did for router A. Now, we'll come in there and we'll create we'll type exit, and now let's create our key, our pre-shared key. So we'll go crypto key, ISA KMP key Cisco address. Now again, we'll verify our address. We're going from B to A, so I'm going to define this address right here. That'd be the pure router interface. Hit enter. Now, next thing we got to do is configure our phase 2 ICA configuration. So we'll go in here now. We'll say create a transform set. And again, we'll use ESP AES, and then ESP SHA. It says we're missing a proposed ESP missing cipher. Now, what did we do wrong in here? So we'll go back through, and we'll come back and fix this here in a second. So now, again, we'll create our access list. Transfer set. I see what I've done here. I forgot to define my set name. So we'll go in there and call it my set. Now we got a good command. Again, I forgot to give it a set name. From there, we'll create access. We'll type it out here. We'll do an access list. Again, I'm just going to use 101 permit IP traffic. Now again, it's going to be sourced from 10.0.0.1.0, and then we'll just use a default inverted math. Destination 192.168.1.0 with a 0 in there. Now, Next thing I got to do is continue on with the phase 2 configuration, which will be create a crypto map. Now we'll go crypto map. Again, I'm going to say from router underscore B to router A. Again, just the opposite of what I created on the other one. The other one was router A to B. This is going to be router B to A. Now from here, I'll just sit there and define it as my IPSEC ISKA. Ew, we got a problem here. Oh, I forgot to give it a number. So I got to tell it what policy number. So we define this as policy 10, because I can have multiple policies on my router. Now this crypto map will be disabled until a peer invalid set has been created. Good. Now I'm going to set my peer. Again, we're going to make sure that we get a valid peer. It's going from here, from router B to router A. So we're going to use the 172.16.1.1 address. So we'll sit there and the rest of this command would be an IP address 172.16.1.1. Now again, I must match my access list, so I'll do match addresses 101. Now I need to set my define it to the transform set. So transform set, and we use my set. Now the last part of this will be to apply it to a router interface. So we're going to we'll go to this router's interface that's on the serial, which is on a serial interface. From here, we'll sit there and do our crypto map. Crypto map. And then again, let me just get this here, so I get it exact. I'll just paste it, and then we'll hit enter, and then end. Now you can see it was turned on. We'll do a show run real quick to validate that information. Now let's see if we have any established connections yet, and we'll use the show CRY crypto sessions. And now you'll notice that Bell sessions right here, and right now it's down, peer inactive in IPSEC flow. Okay, so let's try and see if this is going to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ping my distant side. So let's see that host over there. So I get a reply. Now let's go in here and see if a tunnel was established. Alright, status says it's down. Now, let's go in here and show crypt. See what the rest of this is here. Oh, unrecognizable command. So let's go in here and show crypto. In here, let's see our sessions. Now what I'd like to do is let's try and ping the distant host here and see if it's going to work. Alright, we see a ping and it is successfully going through. Now I'll go on router A and I'll issue the show crypto sessions to verify that my connection is up. As you can see here that the session is up and active, and we got all of our configurations correct. Alright, at this time I would write my configurations on both devices, and periodically check to make sure that that my settings are right. Now, I'd like to thank you for viewing this video and hope you come back again in the future and view my training videos. Thank you and have a great day.